Hey, welcome back. In this short video, I'm going to be helping you how to track your performance. You know what? If you're in sales or if you're in business, anything that you do to move products or services across the line, this is very important. I find that most entrepreneurs or even salespeople are good at what they do, perhaps in this communication part, although they still need help there. But one of the things they're really lacking in is on the business side of their business, which is tracking their performance. So in this video, I'm going to go over to a spreadsheet and show you how to track your critical variables that matter if you are in sales or an entrepreneur, that you need to track what are your critical variables. So there's about six or seven critical variables I'm going to go over with you right here in this video. So make sure you pay close attention to set this up so you can track your performance. There's a saying that what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. Think about it. So let's step into my office, and I'm going to go right now. Here we go. There's the office, and I'll see you on the inside. All right, welcome back. So here it is. I wanted to show you the spreadsheet and break it down on why it's important to track your performance. So whether you're an entrepreneur or if you're in direct sales or even if you're doing retail sales, this helps you to understand where you are. And I will tell you what it does. It will help you increase two things. It'll help you make more money, and number two, it'll help you be more efficient, which means it gives you more time so you can track. And you're going to feel more relaxed knowing where you stand. Because in anything that deals with direct sales, there's always a cycle. We sometimes get in a funk. We sometimes get in a situation where we don't know what we're doing and why we're not generating enough revenue for the company or not making enough profit in our business. So let me break this down for you, why it's important to track these critical variables. So as you can see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 critical variables that I have put here. Now, it depends on the industry. So if you're in a different industry, you might have a few more critical variables to add on. For example, how much inventory you still have left, that sort of thing. But let me just break down the basics. So one of the things you want to do is have daily tracking sheet. So every day you put your date here, the number of contacts you're going to make that day. You might have a goal here set. Maybe you put in slashed. Maybe you have to make, let's say, 50 calls or 100 calls that day, whatever the case may be. So number of calls and number of appointments that you have set. How many do you have? 5, 6, 7 a day. How many interviews have happened after the end of the day? This is called the end of the day report, by the way. And then also, then you want to put down, let's say, the number of sales that you're making. Okay, so how many sales have occurred and how much cash collect has happened. So in other words, your revenue for that sale and how many no-shows have happened and how many follow-ups. You might have another column here is how much percentage of profit you made, and we can go into that in more detail, but I just wanted to show you some basics in your critical variables. So a couple of things I want to go over here with you is that track your goals every hour. So you should keep the spreadsheet up, or if wherever you are, and make a copy of it if you want. Keep it at your workplace and track your number of calls you have made. Okay, every hour, or maybe if you're making dials one after the other, so you can do that. Number of appointments, you have that set up. Could be 4, 5, 6 a day. How many interviews have happened? An interview is where you've had a contact with somebody who has given you at least some basic information about them. Okay, it's not like you call somebody up saying, hey, I'm busy, I can't talk to you right now. That's really not an interview. Okay, and where you have at least engaged them in what you are doing, asking them about their situation or what they're using in their product that you're marketing. You've engaged them for a few minutes. That is what we call an interview. Okay, and in some instances, some people call it a sit, where you go down and you meet with somebody and you sit down with them. Okay. And then how many did you convert? Sales, okay? And then how much of those people that you did convert, what is the amount of money you collected from them? It could be an agreement that they signed up, or you could put here agreements signed. If you are, let's say, selling a real estate transaction, maybe you're just collecting a small deposit, an agreement that was signed, or no, it wasn't, whatever, or it was a handshake agreement, a verbal agreement, whatever you want to put here as your third one. No shows, how many did not show up and how many are you following? What that does at the end, it gives you a sense of how many, and one more column I want to add right here is hours worked. Because what that does is if you put that down, how many hours you worked, okay, it shows you where your productivity is. How many hours are you working to produce the income that you're making? And then you can have what we call, let me just move that here, how many hours you worked. Put that a little bit bigger. Yeah. And then that will give you an idea of how much income you're making per hour. Okay. So make sure you do this on a daily basis. And this is very important at the end of the week. And you might put here, let's say if you started on a Monday and you finished on a Friday, you might have a totals here. Okay, so you could put a column here for your totals every 5 days or every 6 days, however, it depends on how many days are you working. So this is a way to track your performance, and then you can actually do another spreadsheet on a monthly. So every month, how your sales are stacking up. Okay, what you're actually doing every day, and this will give you a sense of accomplishment, and you'll know your numbers. I'll give you an example. Let's just say you had, I'm just going to fill this out for you a little bit here. Let's just say you made 50 calls and you had 5 appointments that day and you had 3 interviews, okay, and you converted 1 sale. Okay, just giving you a number here. Okay, let's put that in black. Okay, hold on. So you made 1 sale here. Okay, and it's not coming in black. Here we go. Okay, but you know what I mean. Okay, you can always adjust that. How much money did you collect from them? Okay, it could be $1,000 depending on your product or service. It could be $10,000, depending on what the case is. How many ended up being no-shows? So you might have had, let's say, 2 no-shows of those appointments, okay? And let's say you're following up on 2 of those other appointments, so you had 2 more follow-ups to do, and how many hours did you work? And maybe you worked, let's say, 7 hours or 6 hours, whatever the case may be, doing all of that, right? And in some cases, it's hard to do 6 hours and make 50 calls, so there's a gap here. Or maybe your interviews were, let's say, 2 hours each. That could happen, right? So that would mean that you had 3 interviews. That would be 6 hours worked right there. And then you have totals that you have at the end. Like, for example, you could also add here, let's just say you have another variable that you're tracking, and that is your daily income, daily goal, daily income. And maybe that's your goal for that day. And your daily income goal would be maybe, let's just say, okay, I'll put that here. Your daily income goal could be, let's say, 5,000. All right, and let's see how close you are to that. Okay, and you might have that right here. Let me just do that here. Okay, daily income goal. That would be, oops, income goal, and then you could put here is 5K, right? And you might say here, okay, so that could be here you made, let's just say 3,000. So you're short by 2,000, you see. So now you know where you are, how close you are. So the next day your goal is to make 2,000 plus 5. Your goal now, it stacks up because you always want to try to shoot for your goal. If it's 5,000 a day as your revenue goal, let's say, so next day you're going to have a little bit, you know, you're kind of like behind the fence now. You've got to get an additional $2,000. So it's 7,000 you need to make the next day. So you see how you can track. And some days you might hit 10,000. That means you made past your daily goal, right? At the end of the week, right? 5,000 a day times 5 days. Let's say you're working 5 days, right? That's 25,000 in a week you should have made. And maybe at the end of the week you find out that you fell short by $2,000 or $20,000 for that matter, and you know where the problem is. It could be the lack of sales, the lack of calls that you're making, the lack of interviews that are being set. So there's a conversion factor here. We can add on more columns. For example, how many calls to interview? So you might have to make 50 calls to get 5 interviews, let's say. So that means 10 calls equals 1 interview. And then when you have 5 interviews, 5 appointments, how many of those end up being appointments, right? How many of those being not appointments? How many of 5 appointments end up being sits or interviews? So that could be like 60%, 70%. That includes that, you know, go up here on the no-show rate. So the lower your no-show rate, the more interviews you have, obviously. So This is very important. And what this will tell you is that if you're getting a lot of interviews, but you're not getting enough sales, that means you're good at getting in the door, you're good at getting at people to engage with you, but you're probably not qualifying them properly. They're not a good fit for your product. Or there's something wrong with your language and your communication skills that people are interested, but you might be not asking the right questions. Maybe you're not explaining the product properly, or you're not diving deep enough on what their issues and challenges are and why they're sitting down with you. And that's another set of problems. That tells us where we need to improve your sales skills. Okay, so I do some sales training as well. And if you're interested in that, just give me a comment here, a like, or hit me up, and then I'll help you. And if you're interested in doing some sales training. The other factor this will also show you is that if you're getting not enough interviews, but you're getting a lot of appointments, and there's a no-show rate is very high, there's something wrong in your process, in the building. Maybe your funnel is not set up properly to capture the lead, or if you're knocking on doors, for example, right? And there's a way that you're not presenting yourself to get people to sit down with you. So that is another training process, on how you and in today's day and age, you shouldn't even have to do any cold calling or prospecting. There's so much technology out there that you could have funnels using AI now to capture people's interest, to book a time on your calendar, or book a time so that you can call them and at least get a time to book with you and talk to you about your product or service. So these are critical variables. I hope this made sense to you. Use this on a daily basis. This will definitely help you be more efficient. And I think what gets managed, gets improved. If you're not tracking your business, if you're not tracking your numbers, you are shooting in the dark. You're wasting time. You don't even know it. Sometimes you think you're in a slump and you're not. It's just the numbers game sometimes, right? So with that said, hope you have a great, awesome day. Give me a thumbs up and a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you again on the next one. Talk to you soon.